there's not many anime that do such a great job at creating such a down to earth episode. If you're watching this anime and you watch this episode, you might even forget that magic even exists. Like, it was just so down to earth. It was nice. It was like gritty. It was a very gritty episode. I myself even felt like I was in this situation where I just couldn't. I was suffocating. Seeing Tartra just struggle. The struggle was real. He couldn't differentiate the different plants, the different herbs, the different colors, the different cylinders. He was just truly in a bind. And then, of course, not only that, but Coco was also sick and bedridden. So you have two different scenarios, two different people, but both struggling in their own different ways. This episode truly was a magnificent example of, you don't need flashy powers. You don't need to be in outer space fighting aliens. You don't need, you know, like a giant beast or a giant monster, or you know, things like this. This was just so down to earth, but the storytelling and everything was just so brilliant, so magnificent. Here, Tarts was trying to find an answer to his problems, and once he finds the answers to his problems, he can solve the problems of Coco had. But then Coco realized that he doesn't have the answer, so Coco had to create an answer. But then Tarts would turn it around and turn her answers into his own magical spells. I'm telling you guys, this was such a brilliant circular, like the fallacy circular reasoning. This was like such a great circular storytelling. You couldn't solve one thing without solving the other, but in order to solve the other thing, you need to have the base recipe. And oh my god, this was just so brilliant. So here, he's trying to figure it out with the water. Of course, that didn't help. And so Coco helps him with the spell, but the spell didn't really work because she's sick. And so he created his own spell from a spell that Coco had, bro. And the fact that she's like bedridden. Have you guys ever been sick? Like, it just brought back some serious PTSD from COVID. If you guys had COVID, man, that's what it really reminded me too, man. And I was just like, damn, you just can feel her emotions. You can just feel her pain every time she coughed, every time she just kneeled over, every time she felt cold. So right here, she makes the spell, but then the spell ends up failing because she's too sick to make it right. And so he's like, yeah, I'll fix it. So you can see here, the spell failed. And he's like, yeah, I can fix this by putting the W's on the other side instead of having the T's to retain the spell better. And then he was able to make a better spell. I'm telling you guys, this was just ingenious. This was just brilliant. This was, look, he's looking at me. No, no, I'm kidding. But no, this truly is an example of just sheer masterpiece. This was a masterpiece. What else could I call it? Masterpiece. So yeah, long story short, if you're not watching Witch Hat Altaria, you're really missing out on this incredible storytelling.